We're in our final day, day 10, which is expanding into universal harmony. I have with me two amazing women who are my guests, and I want to welcome them now. The first is Maria Paula Fidelago, and my other guest,
Yay!
yay! And my other guest is Amandine Roche. Thank you both for being here for the Harmonic Convergence Day 10. I am so honored and humbled by you two great women. I know you both and the work that you've done. And so I'm really looking forward to this interview and sharing with the world the great achievements and peace activism that you have been working with through your careers. I'm going to start with Maria. Maria, tell us a little bit about yourself for those that don't know about you.
All right. So first, it's a great honor to be here. It sounds that this is it, huh? The 14th Harmonic Convergence is happening, and I'm thrilled to be part of it. Thank you so much for welcoming me in your broadcast. So I am Brazilian. I have a master degree in human development and health psychology. I have been working as the peace ambassador for a couple of years. And so I work basically inside of prisons or at the violent areas of the country, slums, or actually I work everywhere. I'm also a writer and an actress. So I am peacemaker. I have the honor to have this beautiful theme as, a place and goal to offer, to be at service and to offer all my talents and my skills and everything that I have been preparing for. And so it's really an honor to have such job.
Well, great. And it's an honor to have you again. I'm so happy that you're here. Have some questions I'd like to ask you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
how would you define peace? What is your definition for peace?
Um, the I Ching, the Chinese oracle, the ancient Chinese oracle, the I Ching. The I Ching says that the opposite of peace is not war, but stagnation. Stagnation. So that makes me wonder. Peace is a dynamic equilibrium. We are always on and off our balance. So peace is not something that it's there per se, but we have to build up constantly. And whenever we lose it, the more aware and the more lucid we are, we can, come back to it, to this inner space of connection. I think that so what I do, my job is to create this movement, go against the stagnation, being peaceful is not just, waiting or watching and doing nothing. To do something, to go into a movement towards connection, peace is all about connection, about creating this space for the others, for ourselves to transform ourselves and go and higher our frequencies, and individually and collectively.
Great, great. I love that definition. I especially like your reference to the stagnation being the opposite. And I often think of these kind of definitions, or that's really not a definition, but pointing out the opposite or maybe the complement of something gives us a perspective, a baseline for which to really appreciate and think about the definition of the thing we're trying to define from that point. I just love that. Thank you. I want to now that we've got a stable connection with Amandine. I'd like to have you, Amandine, share with everyone who's watching about you. What's share with us who don't know you your background.
Hi, Mark. It's a great honor to see you today again with Maria Paola on the Harmonic Convergence. Can you hear me well? I'm very sorry. I'm on the remote island of France. The connection is very bad. Could you tell me if you can hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you very well, and I can see you really well as well. And you look gorgeous, and you're glowing, and it's just wonderful having you here because I met you in 2015 in Berkeley, California, and we both walked into the Unify office in Berkeley at the same time on the same day. And, we spent quite a few days together getting to know each other. So I know you very well in your work. And I just love you for all that you do. You inspire me and many, many others. And so it's such an honor having you. Will you share with the audience more about yourself?
Yes, indeed. So I've been working for peace for the last 20 years. I commit myself to work on human rights, democratization, and women empowerment, mainly in Afghanistan for 14 years, on and off with United Nations peacekeeping operation. And my job is really to awaken women to become leaders and to take the lead of more human rights and democracy around the world. I've been working in Congo, in Haiti, in Angola, in Timor, in Nepal. And right now, because I've been too long in Afghanistan, what I realize, you cannot bring outer peace if you don't focus on inner peace. And I've been for a long time suffering of burnout and post-traumatic stress disorder because I exposed myself too long in a conflict area. And so I become a yoga meditation teacher. And now, so I created an NGO in Afghanistan where we bring yoga, meditation, peace and non-violence education in school to army, to soldiers, to in jail, prisoners, and to orphans. And afterward, when I moved to California, when I met you actually, I designed an inner peacekeeping program for the humanitarian on the front line to teach all the 20 tools of inner peace to prevent burnout and PTSD, such as emotional intelligence, mindfulness, neuroscience, yoga, meditation. And right now I'm building the Inner Peace Core organization where we transform refugee camp into healing camp, where we offer the tool to the women refugees to reconnect mind, body, and spirit in order to be alive again and aligned again. because when you ask about peace, I do believe peace starts when you are fully connected mind, body, and spirit. So we transform refugee camp into a healing camp, and after we develop joy through creativity, we heal the invisible wound of trauma, and we restore human dignity.
That is so beautiful. I'm getting chills. Yeah, I salute you, and I know your story. I happen to have watched the Portal movie that came out a couple of years ago that featured a number of peacemakers around the world, or people who practice meditation as a way to bring about inner peace, and how that then blossoms into outer peace, and the influence of others around them to inspire them to find their own inner peace, and how that magically manifests all these wonderful outcomes. And when I saw that movie, I was just so inspired, and you know, I just want you to know that you're one of my heroes, truly. And it was an honor. I look back and realize that when we met each other in August of 2015 in Berkeley, California, that was no accident. I really don't believe that was an accident at all. And here we are, full circle, back now doing this moment of sharing our knowledge, our wisdom, and teaching others how to go about creating peace in the world outside, but they have to start on the inside, right?
Yes. You're right, there is no coincidence. In Afghanistan, they say, coincidence is the coat that God is wearing when he wants to visit you. And I feel it's a divine encounter indeed, always when you are fully aligned to your divine plan. And also, I really love the fact that we are both with Maria Paola speaking on the day 10 of your convergence, which is the day of harmony. And I'm all about harmony. What is harmony? It's when you have a sacred union of the divine feminine and the divine masculine within yourself and outside, when men and women will be able to live in harmony on earth, there will be peace.
Oh, beautifully said. So beautifully said. And right in alignment with the harmonic convergence and what this whole
Indeed.
10 days have been about. I just love this. I'm going to ask my next question. What's the role of a peace ambassador? And Maria, I'd like to hear from you. What do you see are the key attributes of a peace ambassador?
My job mostly is to help myself and anyone to make better choices, to to make your decision making ever better all the time, because we are humans and we do stuff that is not good all the time, but if we are aware enough, we can realize that, and then we can choose better the next time. And so in every way, the job of peace ambassador basically is like working with symbolic stuff, such as like, for instance, last year we did this beautiful movement in Rio de Janeiro. Rio de Janeiro is a very violent city, and we are facing, the crime is very well organized. So we are trying to organize peace. And so we made this big event at the gardens of the Modern Art Museum with women breastfeeding, 1,000 women breastfeeding their babies. And it was just such soft, beautiful, serene energy going on. And then just, showing that we must change our templates, the fiction we are consuming, everything is legitimating violence. And this is not good. So How can we address better? How can we refine our decision making all the time? So this is the symbolic part. I also work hands-on, training, working with trauma rehabilitation with kids from the slums or inside of prisons. I give talks. Next year, I'm going to do a very nice talk in One Young World event. It's going to take place in Munich. And it's such a thrill to be able to address audiences of young leaderships, because they are the ones who are going to change it, to reframe everything, and helping them to remember that they must, end inequality, for instance, and such things, because the roots of violence are usually in misery, in hunger. Right now, Brazil is, we are expecting 40 million hungry people within the next 2 months because of all this economic crisis that's coming after the sanitary crisis. So we are facing, humongous challenges. And so we need to face this gap between, the people who can, have, beautiful insights and meditate, and these people that are, they need to eat. And especially right now that they lost their jobs, the economy is stopped. So, the kids are trying to do bad things, like, stealing, and the way that we are addressing, it's the worst way, is punishing, beating them up, locking them out, and, threatening, and it's not helping. Actually, it's getting worse. So
Right.
how can we create better strategies in order to face these huge challenges we have? It's like we need to embrace, to support the victims and the aggressors as well, and the police and the politicians and everyone. So my you know my service is to help in order to have better ideas where we can, be guided towards a peaceful environment, a peaceful ambient.
Yes. Wonderful, wonderful. And, my heart goes out to the people of Brazil and other nations that are suffering and facing these challenges because of the COVID pandemic and all that
Yeah.
comes from it. So my heart just goes out to you all around the world that are dealing with the challenges of our time. And so through this, it is my great hope that we come up with creative solutions to uh, allow peace to take root and grow from this process. And Maria, thank you for sharing all that with us. And you're a great way shower, a great leader and ambassador of peace. Thank you.
I thank
Um,
you.
uh, Amandine, I would like to hear more about how you got motivated to work in the field that you work. I know you got a law degree in France. You're a French national. And today is Bastille Day, the
Oh,
Independence Day
yes.
of France. And I don't believe it's any coincidence that the Harmonic Convergence began on the day after, actually, it began on the evening of July 4th, which is the American
Yes.
Independence Day, and it now concludes on Bastille Day. And I believe these are the two most important days in human history with respect
Yes.
to personal and national sovereignty.
Thank you for the kind reminder, Mark. It's amazing because it's special today, but we cannot celebrate because of the pandemic situation. We are still on semi-lockdown here. But indeed, it's very symbolic. And it's, I believe French people are all revolutionary in blood, you know, in DNA. And I believe maybe that's why I decided to be French in this lifetime, because of a human right, you know, and fighting for justice and fighting for freedom. But I really enjoy the answer of Maria Paola, and I would love to add as well about peace, because you asked me what motivated for me to work for peace. And I believe peace is not absence of war. Peace is not absence of conflict. Peace is not absence of violence. Peace is a state of mind, is a state when you can reach the quality of joy, of harmony, of love, of light, of consciousness, of bliss, of grace, of compassion, of connection, as Maria Paula said. And this is what always fascinated me. And my mom is a Polish refugee, so she always informed me of torture or violation of human rights in the world. I follow her in many Amnesty International gatherings. And I was lucky enough, at the age of 18, I met His Holiness the Dalai Lama at my University of Law. And it changed my life, because he spoke about the violation of human rights in Tibet and the non-violence resistance of the Tibetans. And I took the 5 precepts of non-violence, which you take also when you do Vipassana meditation, mainly with Goenka. And I'm going to give it to you. The first one is you don't kill, which means you are vegetarian because you don't encourage someone to kill an animal or a fish to feed you. The second one is you don't steal. The third one is you don't lie. The fourth one is you don't take any intoxicant, because otherwise you will lose your peace of mind. And the fifth one is you don't have any sexual misconduct. And also, I always keep in my mind the 5 non-negotiable that my yoga teacher taught me. The first one is you make sure you sleep well. The second one is you make sure you eat healthy. The third one is you make sure you hydrate yourself well. The fourth one, you have any kind of spiritual practice, could be yoga, meditation, or qigong. And the fifth one is you have an introspection. It could be therapy, it could be journaling. You go within to work on yourself, to work on your inner blockage or your trigger of your pain and suffering or your belief system of your program. So you never stop working on yourself, because it's like Gandhi said, be your change you want to see in the world. And so if you want peace, incarnate peace. If you want joy, incarnate joy. If you want light, be the light. If you want harmony, bring harmony within yourself. And so what motivated me? So the Dalai Lama was my first inspiration, role model. I went to visit him in Dharamsala, the Tibetan governor in exile, 25 years ago. I interviewed him and I wrote my political science thesis on Tibet and the violation of human rights around the kidnapping of the Panchen Lama, second highest authority of Tibet. And I wanted to bring back Dalai Lama to Tibet, so I said I should better join United Nations for that. But I was very naive at this time because, of course, there is the Chinese at the Security Council with a veto. But at least I joined United Nations exactly 20 years ago, first in Central Asia, working with Afghan refugees in Tajikistan with UNICEF. And I love so much Afghan, which I decided to go to Afghanistan. And I arrived in Kabul September 11, 2001, by chance, but as you say, there is no coincidence. And I understood that this is where I wanted to find my playground for human rights, for women empowerment, and for working on nonviolence. And that's the reason why I spent more than a decade there. And after as I explained, when I was suffering of burnout and PTSD, I went back to see the Dalai Lama in Dharamsala, in Himachal Pradesh. And during one of the teachings, he said, you cannot bring outer peace if you don't focus on your inner peace. And this sentence resonated deep, deep within myself. And I realized that it's so true, who I am to work for peace in the world if I'm completely broken, destroyed, or depressed, or suffering of depression, anxiety within myself. I should better stay at home. I'm not going to help the Afghan. So I decided to heal myself and work on myself. And I took my backpack. I went all around India to spend time with spiritual masters who teach inner peace and non-violence, such as the Karmapa, the Dalai Lama, Goenka, the Gandhi family, and Amma in south of India, in Kerala, the hugging saint for one who really incarnate unconditional love. And I felt so inspired by my trip that I just decided that's the path I wanted to take in my life. Really focus on bringing the tool of inner peace. And this is what I did, as I explained before.
That's so wonderful. Thank you, Amandine. I just get chills listening to you. You're such a wonderful teacher and leader and way shower for peace. And many of the things that you talk about are things that many people that I know who have themselves been role models of peace and love say. These are common themes and exercises and ways to behave and ways to live that lead to peaceful lives, because you're focusing on that inner peace, and then from there you can have outer peace and be a role model for others. You mentioned Amma, the hugging saint. Will you shared with me when we were together back in 2015 something that happened when you hugged her for the first time. Would you share that with everyone?
I'm not sure which one you wanted to refer to. Because
You may have hugged
so
her
many.
a bunch of times and had amazing experiences
I'm not sure
each
it was.
time.
Yeah, that's why. So could you just remind me, because I
It
followed
was
for
the
15
first
years.
time you hugged her. Something happened to you. You shared with me this amazing experience. It was, to me, I interpreted it as a spiritual awakening of a sort. That was what to me seemed like almost a metaphysical experience. Do you remember what you
Yeah.
shared?
I know. It was not the first time. It was on my birthday when I was in
Okay.
Kerala. Yeah, when I went in Kerala, I just had a burning question. Is it the one about when I asked her about what is Atman? Is it the one you're referring to?
Yeah.
Yes, and so when I was on my trip and interviewing all the spiritual master, I have this burning question to ask Amma, what is Atman, which means the higher consciousness. And I have indeed a mystical experience with Amma, because when she hugged me, I look into her eyes, and I felt like all my soul got swallowed in her eyes. And I went inside herself. And when I arrived inside herself, I was in the middle of a galaxy, in the middle of a universe, in the middle of a cosmos. And I feel so small. I have kind of vertigo, actually, because I saw above me, it was my planet, I'm Capricorn, and it was Saturn. And it took me 3 days to come back, because I really felt like I stay in the universe, actually. Is it the story you want me to share?
Yes, that's the one. That's the very one. And the reason I wanted to share it is because it's a powerful story. And for me personally, I had had an experience very similar to the one that you described. And I felt a connection with you, because so few people that I've met in my life have had that kind of mystical experience where they are outside of themselves and taken to a higher place that is hard to describe to people, because it's a very spiritual experience that's hard to put into words for people to truly appreciate. And when you shared it with me, I knew that we had this common experience. So I really appreciate you being so open and candid about it. I felt maybe I was overstepping a boundary by asking you to share that with everyone. But thank you so much for feeling comfortable.
Thank you. It's very secret, and it's very sacred. And when it's sacred, it's secret. But I'm okay to share on for you participant. And what I realize also is, it just have to be an open heart and have a burning desire of wondering what is Atman. And what was fantastic when I did ask, I even didn't have to ask to her. I just look at her and she knew my question. And it's like a two pupil open up like that, like two portal. And I was so under shock and I felt swallow. And when I arrived in her belly, which was the middle of the universe, I heard Amma saying to me, and this is Atman. Imagine that.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
And
for
so
sharing that.
I lost consciousness. They have to take my body, and I come back after 3 days. I couldn't speak. I was under shock, kind of, for what I saw and the cosmic trip I went through.
Yeah. Wonderful. Maria, have you had any kind of experience that you would qualify as a spiritual awakening or a
Yeah.
mystical, metaphysical experience?
Definitely. You were talking, and I was remembering something that happened to me. I was doing, when my first girl was born 16 years ago, the Ministry of Health asked me to do the breastfeeding campaign, and I did it. And I would say on TV and everywhere, just breastfeed your baby for 6 months, not even water, not even juice, just your milk. But the Ministry of Labor didn't guarantee 6 months of motherhood leave. It was 4 months. So women started to approach me on street and say, wow, I feel guilty. I'd love to breastfeed my kid for 6 months. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I talked to them and I said, we must do something. This is not possible. So we started a campaign in order to raise the breastfeeding leave for 6 months. But we were scared, Amandine, when we are trying to, make rights for women, we are always scared of retaliation. So it's going to be even harder for women to be in, the market, as they're going to be moms one day. So we did something that for the public functionaries, for the public service, all the women would have 6 months. But for the private sections, it wouldn't punish the companies who didn't want to give this mother leave. It would give them, fewer taxes and such things. So I was doing this campaign, and then I realized some women are inside of prisons, giving birth inside of prisons. And I would like to address them in this campaign. So I had a meeting, I set a meeting with the Minister for Female Issues. Back then it was Dilma was the president. It was a woman who was the president. And there was this minister, was a lady. And I had never seen her. I didn't know her at all. I went there for the meeting with this, idea. And so I started talking to her and saying that, I told all this story and said that women in prison should be, taken care of. They were having kids in prison. And then the minister starts crying. And I was, oh my God, what's going on here? And then she holds my hands and says, do you know my story? Did you read my book? And I said, no, I'm sorry, I didn't. And she said, I was, during the military dictatorship in Brazil, she was pregnant and she had been in jail. They threw her in jail while she was pregnant. So she gave birth in jail. I got goosebumps every time I talk about it. And she couldn't breastfeed her baby. So she said, she got really, emotional, and she said, I'm going to help you. And then she called the Minister of Justice right on in front of me and said, I need, people to work with Maria Paula here. And so like in 15 minutes, we had the whole thing set up. And I traveled from state to state, giving talks about the bond between moms and babies and how we can teach them in order to react with affection instead of, violence. And that's early intervention. The earliest you teach it to your baby, the best is the bond. So making a long story short, the whole thing happened. And it was like out of the blue, like some angel guided me to talk to this specific lady at and everything just, happened. So there are omens, there's much more behind and above that we have a clue. And it's really amazing to feel it going through ourselves so that we
Yes.
can channel something bigger and for the common good, for the collectiveness.
So true. So true. Thank you, Maria. That was just wonderful. And I find that many of the people I meet who are leaders of peace and great role models have had some kind of mystical experience that made them aware of these higher dimensions of consciousness, these angels that seem to be around us, that guide us and give us advice and show us the way. And that for myself, have been led by these angels. And there's no denying it. I was an atheist my entire adult life until 2012 when Tejbar appeared in my hotel room. And I had to pursue the truth of that experience. And I've spent now 8 years learning about the higher realms and about the nature of consciousness and reality. And this harmonic convergence event, I believe, is the beginning of a process of learning the truth, what I call the true true, from Cloud Atlas, the famous movie about reincarnation and how these reincarnated souls, told through the story of Tom Hanks and Halle Berry and other incredible actors and actresses, showed how they evolved over time through different lifetimes. And I believe that's really the modus operandi of our soul's evolution and our development into higher and higher spiritual beings. And it was really difficult for me to accept this reality when I had years invested into a philosophy of atheism and agnosticism. But I've now embraced it fully because I honor the truth. And what I've learned through the truth is that there is a God, that there are these angels, and that we are also angels if we choose to be. And that's what is about to happen. We are becoming earth angels. And this process of becoming an earth angel is something that you, Maria, can tell and have told by being a role model, but sharing your experiences of how you got to this point in your life where you've become such an incredible role model and inspiration for millions of people in your country and throughout the world. And you, Amandine, an incredible, inspiring story of a woman who's really become empowered through the spiritual practices that you described and speak of, and how you gained that knowledge and those practices through these amazing teachers all around the world, but especially India. And myself, I too have had my teachers, and Amandine and Maria, you have been my teachers, not just today, this morning, but even before. And I'm so blessed to know you both and to be your student. Thank you for teaching me.
Thank you for teaching us, Mark. You've been such an inspiration with your Tajbar story as well. I've never heard such story before. It's mind-blowing. It's extraordinary. And because your soul is big enough to welcome Tajbar into your life and to awaken the world with extraterrestrial
Thank you. Thank
being.
you. I'm so honored. I'm so blessed to be hearing these words from you, Amandine. I've been watching you, and you are just so incredibly beautiful, and your beauty is exuded in your actions. And Maria, I've just met you a few days ago, And I've learned so much about you in the last few days through online information, searching about you on the internet. And again, you are another inspiration to the world. Thank you so much. All right. Well, thank you for being my guests. And I will see you again. I want to go to Munich when you are in Munich, Maria.
Yeah.
Be sure to let me know when you're going to go. And
Definitely.
maybe Amandine will join us. Wouldn't
Yeah.
that be special?
When will be that? When will be that?
Next year, I guess February. Hopefully the lockdown's going to be over and we're all going to meet
Yes.
there. Amazing. Yeah.
Let's make it a date, okay?
Okay.
Yes.
Done deal.
Okay.
Thank you so
Great.
much.
Thank
you
you.
both.
Thank
I
you
love
very
you both
much.
dearly. You're
I love-
amazing. I love you.
Thank you. Love
Okay.
you too. Thank you.
All right,
Goodbye.
we are going to take a moment for me to get organized. I'm going to lead the CE6 meditation here shortly, so I'm going to take a quick break to get prepared. And in the meantime, we have something to share with you.
There's a reason for the sunshine sky, and there's a reason why I'm feeling so high. Must be the season when that love light shines all around us. So let that feeling grab you deep inside, brings on the healing where your love can hide. Breathe in the freedom beneath the moonlit nights. Awake lover, just let your love go like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show. And you'll know what I mean. It's a season. Let your love fly like a bird on a wing, and let your love bind you to all living things, and let your love shine. And you'll know what I mean. That's a reason. There's a reason for the warm, sweet nights, and there's a reason for the candle lights. Must be the season when those love lights shine all around us. So let that wonder take you into space and lay you under its loving embrace. Just feel the thunder as it warms your face. You can't hold back. Just let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show. You'll know what I mean. It's the season. Let your love fly like a bird on a wing, and let your love bind you to all living things, and let your love shine. And you'll know what I mean. Let your flow. Let your love fly. Let your love bind you. Let your love shine. Just let your love fly like a bird on a wing, and let your love bind it's the season. Yes, the season.
My first job out of college was on Wall Street on the New York Stock Exchange. In my heart, I knew this wasn't my path. While everyone around me financially was incredibly successful, spiritually, they were bankrupt.
I was in my early, mid-20s, making lots of money, spending lots of money, traveling, partying. I was a trader for a hedge fund. I was on the trading floor screaming and yelling, doing that every single day. You got a report that says whether you won or lost that day. Boston College did a study of high net worth individuals, and you needed to have $25 million to be in the study, and the average person had $75 million. And one question they asked is, do you feel financially secure? And nearly all of them said no.
I ended up traveling the world for 2 years with Def Jam, with a major artist at the time, and I was opening for them and doing all these incredible things. And at the time, it was super fun and it was super amazing, and I was getting to see the world. And we were in Cape Town, and we were literally doing the same thing we always did, which we'd go play a show, we'd go to a nightclub, we'd go spend all this money on champagne, we'd go back on the tour bus and do it all again. And I signed the bill at this club. We spent $3,000 in 20 minutes at this club on champagne. And we come out and everyone's getting in the tour bus, and I remember this so clearly. It was like two worlds. The tour bus, glamour, glitz, rock star, money, all this amazing stuff, and the real world that was facing me. There was a shanty town right there, right across the way. And it just hit me. I felt like I was taking. I felt like I was living somebody else's life. I felt like a fraud.
You may gain the world, you may gain stuff, but inside, your soul may be hollow. There may not be a certain level of peace, love, kindness, compassion, all the things that may make life really meaningful. So it's not really successful. We've just used the law of manifestation to get things, to acquire, and we're left bereft.
At the end of the day, when we think about success, it has to be tied directly to what are our society's goals. And success usually as an individual means I'm a participant, I have accumulated wealth. Failure and success are two sides of the same, I think, failed currency, which is that it's all about money.
Matter of fact, if you're still in the old model, it's kind of aberrant. You know, you're just trying to make money? That's it? You're not cleaning up anything? You're not helping a school system? You're not buying computers for anybody? What? This is it? I'll talk to you later, man.
The world is calling for us to emerge a new model, and that's what's happening. That's social entrepreneurship. People are going, okay, well, I can make money, but I could also make an impact. Well, if I can have both, why wouldn't I do that? And it just makes sense.
With new time, new reality there. So we have to accept the new reality. Facing new reality, but our perception is old thinking. Then, you see, I think a lot of problem, unnecessary problem, you see, happen. So we must act according to new reality.
Any model of success that externalizes harm to any other part of this biosphere is not a viable model of success for any of us. So if it's not a model of success for everybody and for all aspects of life, then it's not a meaningful model of success. Success has to be omniconsiderate to matter.
The model has shifted from merely profit to actually coming to a realization that we're connected holographically to a whole system here on the planet. And so redefining what success really is changes the whole conversation, which changes our perception, which changes our action, which changes our world. The conversation around success is extremely important to change the world for the better.